Peace, it surpasses all understanding. I was prompted within to continue sharing um, over the last couple of years, over my whole life. Over my whole life, I knew that there was distortion around sex from a very young age. From a very young age, and my experiences, my distorted experiences, um, were with an older female, and I was very young, and I saw the distortion even as a kid. I was full of fear, but I saw the distortion, and with that, I wanted to address a couple of things that through the course of my understanding and awareness of myself, um, as I've gone through relationships, two marriages, a few girlfriends. Um, not when I consider, I have a what I would refer to as a modest love life. Relationship wise, it's modest, more than some, less than others. But based on experiences that I've heard from other people, I'd say it's fairly modest. Um, no less profound, but whatever. It's my experience. But with that being said, a little bit of a disclaimer, I guess. I might be talking about some sexual matter. Um, so if you find that kind of subject matter to be offensive, or you're easily triggered by that, you might want to consider maybe not watching. Um, but I just, I want to go in, eyes open, because it's rare. I think I do, at least in my experience and in my study, in my research, in my discernment, in my interactions with other men. When a guy starts talking about sex, big red flag, the sirens go off. He's a perv, right? And the predispositions, and that's what I really want to focus on. And the predispositions to stereotype or stigmatize men in certain roles. A man is a predator, and I've touched on these things in other shares that I've done. Um, the primary one, there was one of those oh my goodness moments um, where I realized um, the collective wounding of females, of women, um, and where does that what's the origin source? Patriarchal society and traumatic experiences at the hands of a man, et cetera, et cetera. But I remember the first time that it really was in my face. And it was a moment where I was walking into a store, and there was an older woman walking in with a purse, and I opened her door, and she clutched her purse out of fear, like I was gonna steal her purse. That was the first time, and I'm like, wow, this woman doesn't know me from Adam, and she's terrified of me. She thinks I'm gonna, uh, she thinks I'm gonna mug her, or worse. Who knows? But the programming that we receive, and this leads me into, I've been unplugged for a long time now. I have a telephone. Um, I have a TV. I have a TV, but you can see I have movies, and I have my computer hooked up. So basically, my TV is my computer screen, my monitor. But I've been unplugged for a very long time, right around 2001. But, off and on. It's not like I don't see TV or watch TV from time to time, but every time I watch TV for more than 5 minutes, I realize why I don't watch TV anymore. But on one of the Netflix, Hulu, one of these channels, that I have. They had Family Guy, it's a cartoon, and The Simpsons. And my initial feeling was, oh, hey, some mindless entertainment. So I went right back to the beginning. 31 seasons, 31 seasons of The Simpsons. It's crazy, man. Um, but when a program works, you stick with it. And when we think of, for instance, Homer Simpson, what do we think of? This man, this oaf, this caveman kind of thing. No emotional attachment. He's physically driven by his lust, by booze. It's like every fucking it's like, excuse me, it's like every stereotype, a caricature. But what is it programming? The same thing with Marge, his wife, the long suffering, uh, resentful, sometimes nagging wife, um, etc. So it's on some level, it's my point of view in this to hopefully attempt to break and succeed at breaking some of these stereotypes that we're programmed with through that idiot box, as it was called when I was a kid. Um, but in order to clarify how I got to this point, um, a very destructive childhood as far as trauma, and then taking that trauma, not knowing any better, that trauma manifesting in my relationships with females, and I paid who God knows how much money in therapy to come to this conclusion. The conclusion was Scott was seeking to gain acceptance and approval from emotionally damaged women. Now, from my experience and my understanding and my engagement in conversation and intimate relation, and I don't necessarily mean intimate sexually, I mean intimate, where I have a friendship or a close acquaintance with a female. Virtually every one of the women that I've encountered has been traumatized. She is emotionally damaged. And me feeling somehow like I could repair myself by having a healthy relationship with an emotionally damaged woman, aka my adult female abuser. Okay? Paid probably tens of thousands of dollars in therapy to come to that conclusion. Profound conclusion, but seeking outwardly for something I already knew within. It was just, it needed to be drawn out. The other conclusion is that I love women. I love women. I am a heterosexual man. Um, there's this, and men are driven, um, the way I believe and understand it to be, and I hold this true throughout, whether it's a friendship or a romantic interest or a female, a sister, a female family member, my nieces, um, that men are inclined to feel intimacy and emotional connection through a sexual experience, whereas a woman needs to feel emotionally attached to feel and enjoy and express herself sexually. So it's like, what is the word I'm looking at? Diametrically opposed. It's like, here's a challenge for you: duality. And finding union in that duality. Finding a relationship, whether you be a female and finding a relationship with a man that's in union, or being a man, finding a relationship. And again, it doesn't mean um, a romantic relationship, just a healthy relationship of how we're perceiving each other. Um, I've had some wonderful, wonderful experiences, very intimate, and I'm gonna get. I think I might get to that because it's very nice. It was one of those aha moments. Um, but I digress. So yeah, let's just jump right into that. Let's just jump right into that. I'm gonna give you two sides. I'm gonna give you a beautiful one and one that is based in trauma. But the perspective or my perception of these two events, that's a bummer. So I'm gonna light another one. The first experience. We'll end on a positive note. I think let's end on a positive note. Um, so I had done a video recently about Valentine's Day. The same female person, the same friend, and come on, guys, it was me. The man, the male friend in that share, that was me, and the female friend. I'm going to respect her anonymity. I doubt she would ever see my YouTube videos. I know she knows I have YouTube videos, but out of respect for that relationship and the affection and appreciation that I have for her, I'm going to leave her nameless. Um, but the female in that story, in the Valentine's story. So her and I, the very first time we met, we were in work, and it was right around the Christmas holidays, and Thanksgiving, Christmas, and there was an immediate connection, not necessarily what I would call fireworks, but an immediate connection. There was an immediate resonance, uh, bit of icon. Hey, like somebody, like somebody that's a friend that you haven't met yet. And I would beg to argue that she felt the same way. There was an immediate connection. We immediately felt comfortable engaging in a conversation. It was right around the holidays, and at work, um, we both worked in a hospital. She was an ER nurse, and at the time, I was fluctuating as an ER tech, as an EMT, and surgery technician. But I spent the majority of my time in the emergency room. So we spent a lot of our workday together, working together. And anyway, the hospital that we worked for was well known for the lavish, lavish Christmas parties that they would have for all the employees. And this year was no exception. It was a night, man. It was something, and it was a place in Ogunquit, Maine, on swervy, curvy, the Cliff House, and it was on a cliff. It was a nice, posh hotel, beautiful banquet hall, etc., etc. And they were known for the hospital was known for its lavish Christmas parties. Christmas. That's my dog right there. Go lay down. Go lay down. It's not time to go outside. Anyway, she went solo. I went solo. But it didn't take very long after we were there that we gravitated toward one another and started talking and dancing, and we had dinner together. We sat, we changed, we changed the name tags on the banquet tables, and we sat next to each other. Had a wonderful evening. Some very nice dancing, and now this is one of our very first. We hadn't evolved yet into friends, so we were both uncertain of where this was going. Is this going to be a friendship? Is this going to be a romance? Is this going to be a one night stand? What we both were clueless at that point. It was new, um, but a wonderful romantic dinner. Albeit in a Christmas party, definitely other people picked up on. Oh, Scott and her, they're getting along pretty well, and wonderful dancing after dinner, and the kind of dancing where nice slow dancing, very romantic. I remember her putting her, it was like cheek to cheek dancing, and leaning in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But this particular night, this Christmas party, there was a snowstorm predicted. I live in Maine, um, and the snowstorm turned into like a freaking blizzard, and everybody's at the Christmas party. And Shore Road, man, swervy curvy. No, Anyway, not the hospital, the hotel stepped up, and they're like, "Wow, we can't believe, this is like out of the blue." This mammoth storm, and within minutes, I mean, there was snow coming. It was crazy. It was crazy. And the hotel stepped up and offered everybody discount room rates so that have a place to stay, sleep out the storm, and we'll deal with it in the morning. So the people who were inclined got rooms. I was one of them. She was one of them. There was a numerous. We basically sold the place out, and it was amazing because the room that I got, it was a suite. It was, boy, oh boy, wow, man. Um, I've had some nice vacations, and some of those nice vacations weren't as nice as that hotel room. But the snow was coming down, and it was called the Cliff House for a reason. There was a cliff walk, and every room had a balcony overlooking the ocean and overlooking the cliff. It was stunning, and she brought her things in, put her coat in her room. I put my stuff in my room. We went back to the party. The snow's coming down. We were enjoying the beginnings of a romantic evening. Um, and it was snowing out, and we were like, yeah, let's go out for a walk. Let's go. Let's see how far we can make it on the cliff walk. In the snowstorm. And and this is where my experience with feminine trauma, wounding, collective wounding, where I became very aware of it. So we wanted to get our coats and dress up warm, and we were actually, it was kind of funny because it was snowing out. I'm there in a suit, she's there in a very nice dress, very nice dress. And it's a blizzard outside, so we were going back to the rooms to grab the bathrobes. They were these thick plush, and they even had hoods on them. And so we're like, well, yeah, we'll go outside, but we're gonna need to put something on. And I had mentioned to her earlier, I said I got the presidential suite, whatever it was, and oh my god, I'd like to see it. So we go back up, and we're gonna grab the bathrobes, and we walk into the room. Now this is where we go. We get to my. She went to her room, grabbed hers. We're going to my room to grab mine. Put the key in the door, open the door, and she wanted to see her room. My room was quite a bit whatever, and oh, I want to check it out. And she walked into the room. I opened the door. She walked into the room. I reached over. The bathroom was right there. I grabbed the bathrobe, and she was over by the balcony at the glass doors. And in a moment of, because we had had such a nice evening together, I took a bit of a bold stance, and I'm standing right in front. The door to the room is shut. The door to the room is shut, and I'm standing in the doorway of the room. She's standing over by the balcony, and in a bold move, I just said, it's been such a nice night. I'd really like to know what it felt like to kiss you. And immediately, she turned and she, ooh, she perked up. And then suddenly, the expression on her face went from um, enjoyment or being flattered to like a deer in the headlights. Now, ladies, what the dynamics of what I just described to you, don't give away the spoiler here. I'm standing in the doorway. The only exit from that room, and I just said something um, sexually flirtatious. I set an intention, and that's her only exit out of the room, and I'm standing in front of the door. It didn't occur to me in that initial moment. Initially, I was like, "Oh, I'm being rejected." She does. Yes, we're having a nice night, but she doesn't feel the same way. And her body language immediately changed. She tensed up, and in a moment, in a moment of clarity, I could see her fear. And it was almost as if I was having an out of body experience, seeing the room as a diagram, and she felt threatened, and I was blocking her only exit. You follow? The things that we're not even aware of as men when we consider the wounding and trauma that women, the majority of women, have encountered, and the fear based position that they take, especially encountering a man in such an intimate environment. As many of us know, many, we've heard that term date rape. And literally, as soon as I realized, oh shit, I'm scaring the crap out of her. Very similar to that woman walking into the store with her purse and thinking I was going to mug her. I immediately reached behind me, opened up the door, stepped out of the room and held the door open. And I just said, maybe later. Maybe like in referring, maybe I can have a kiss later. But I opened the door with my back to her and let her exit the room. And she walked several paces away from me, gained a safe distance. And as I was shutting the door, I needed something else. Whatever. And I stepped back into the room, and this is where it kind of gets nice. I stepped back in the room, the door shut. She was safe out in the hallway, in a public space, in a public area. And I had to step back. I can't remember now what it was, but I stepped back into the room to get whatever I was going to get. And she knocked on the door. This was great. This was great. And yeah, I'm coming. I'm coming. And I opened up the door. And you still want that kiss? I didn't realize, and it was nice. It was a nice kiss. Um, and no, nothing ever came of that relationship, even to this day. We're still great friends. It's awesome, but friends nonetheless. That might be a story for another time. But in that moment, realizing as a man my presence, the collective trauma and wounding and fear that many women have, and being, a lesson for me as a man, being ever mindful, especially when I'm around females, to think of others, to think of them, to and it's no fun being thought of initially as a predator. This guy's a predator. He's a predator. Every time I meet somebody, it's still that way. So maybe we can help in some small way by me sharing this, um, break that cycle, help to break that cycle. Not to suggest that there aren't predators out there. There are, and my two stepdaughters, boy, um, that's a story for another time. You know, the things that they've experienced in their lives, and it's heartbreaking. And there was nothing I could do to protect them. You know, protect yourself. You know, and if you do feel unsafe, you know, one of the stereotypes or unreal, maybe not stereotypes, but you know, I'll address this. One of the unrealistic stereotypes or attitudes that women have, um, in my experience, is that somehow a man can read their mind. I consider myself fairly intuitive. That experience is an example of that. However, we can't read your minds. Um, but wouldn't it be nice? As long as we were invited and it was a welcome exchange, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? But a little experiment, and clearly I'll save the other one. I'll save the other one. Maybe I'll just jump right on and do two today. Wouldn't that be nice? Um, but a shift in our understanding of how we project as men, being mindful of our presence, especially around a lady, um, and being intimate enough in our relationships with women to put them at ease and know that they are safe in our presence. With that peace that surpasses all understanding, it's gonna run out 27 minutes. Um, Peace that surpasses all understanding, and I think I am. I'm gonna jump on another one real quick and tell you the other story. Much love. I hope you found this beneficial. I'm going to leave my email down below if you'd like to share or express or comment. Please feel free to reach out in the comments or in a personal email if you don't feel comfortable in the comment section. Peace.